Howdy friends, your city manager Seth Sumner here with your daily COVID-19 update. It's Wednesday, April 29th, 2020, and today marks the 45th day since we first began reporting to you on the updates from the Tennessee Department of Health and including information about what's happening locally in our community in a response to COVID-19, this novel coronavirus. Today also is a very somber turn in our data set across the entire state of Tennessee and here locally in Athens and McMinn County. So let's turn to our Tennessee Department of Health data to show you exactly what I'm talking about here. We have 10,366 Tennesseans who have been identified as COVID positive since the onset of this pandemic several weeks ago. That is an increase of 314 people now just since yesterday, which is a much larger number than we would like to see at this time, of course. We were hoping to be through the surge, and it looks like we're hitting some higher numbers that were not predicted or projected by the Vanderbilt or University of Washington models that we know that our governor and key staff are using as far as helping them make the decisions. Good number. We're happy to see this increase. We pray that this continues to grow. That is 5,140 of those 10,366 have fully recovered. Good job. We certainly hope to see the rest of this 10,366 included in this number in the days and weeks ahead. I'm sorry to say that we have lost 7 more Tennesseans now to COVID-19. 195 Tennesseans losing their lives. This is certainly not a good figure that we want to see increasing, is the use of our hospitals, the use of ICU units, and the use of ventilators. That means that these are more serious conditions, more serious symptoms that our infected population is not able to completely overcome in the comfort of their home and in isolation and quarantine. This is 1,013 hospitalizations now among those 10,366 that have been infected. That is an increase of 132 since yesterday. We want to watch this very closely in the days ahead and make sure that this doesn't continue to grow at this rate. If it does, then we're going to be very cautious about what our hospital resources look like, and if we need to call in those extra resources that we initially had planned for, if we need to call those back through the help of TEMA and FEMA and the National Guard and our hospital network setting up those resources. A good number that needs to continue increasing and is doing so at a rapid pace is that you're out there, whether you have the symptoms or whether you're asymptomatic, that you are going and getting tested. The Tennessee Department of Health has announced that they are going to continue their Monday through Friday testing at the local health departments. So the McMinn County Health Department will continue to do the nose swab testing here in McMinn County. Please go get tested. We have to know who is carrying COVID-19 and who is not. And the governor emphasized early on, we really only wanted folks that were having the symptoms, but now that test is available and free for all people. Please go get tested. There will also be a test center set up at in Bradley County this weekend, this Saturday, from 9 a.m. until noon. And let me make sure of the address. It is at Cleveland Middle School at 3635 Georgetown Road in Cleveland. So Cleveland Middle School, 9 a.m. to noon. We'll be doing drive-through tests this Saturday if you can't make it to the health department Monday through Friday. Please get tested. We have seen 168,549 Tennesseans now being tested for COVID-19. That's an increase of over 6,600 since yesterday. We like to see those numbers come up because that confirms to us, even folks who are asymptomatic that may be carrying COVID and may actually be inadvertently spreading it to other people. And if it goes to other people, it may get to a point where a vulnerable person comes in contact with that. And that's what we've said since day one. We have to take care of our seniors. We've got to take care of our elderly. We've got to take care of our folks that have weakened immune systems. Those are our vulnerable population. Those are the folks that are likely going to see hospitalizations or even death from COVID-19. It is so important that we are all doing our part by staying apart, maintaining social distancing, utilizing proper hygiene, washing your hands for 20 seconds. And now, if you are having to go on an essential run as far as going to the grocery store or doing things of that nature, that you are wearing your cloth covering, any kind of cloth covering. Cover your mouth and nose. If you don't have eyeglasses, maybe you've got some protector goggles or something like that, cover your eyes. That's very important to help protect your health and the health of others if you're getting out into public. COVID-19, this coronavirus, remains a threat to your and all people's health. And it will. There's no vaccine to date. Folks are working on it. We hope to have it in the months ahead. But until we get that vaccine, until we better understand whether a herd immunity or inoculation is even possible through our scientists and doctors, until we know that, it's best just to prevent the spread of germs and virus and disease by utilizing those techniques that we know through the CDC guidelines, the White House guidelines, and what the Department of Health and the Tennessee governor has been putting out. So let's turn and look on the county level right now. We've got McMinn County here, and what we're showing right here is our first death. The Daily Post-Athenian just a few moments ago did post an update that's not reflected here, but they are confirming our second death. Today marks the first day that we unfortunately are having to report a death here in McMinn County, and we are sadly reporting two. Our thoughts and prayers are with those families who have lost loved ones due to COVID-19 and other conditions. We're with you on all of our folks who are working on recovery who've been identified as COVID-19 positive right now. We're with you. We lift you up in our prayers, in our thoughts. We're here to support you and your family, and we hope to see you fully recovered soon. In McMinn County data, we also look at, we do have an added number that we do like to see, is one other COVID positive person has been identified as fully recovered, up to 5 now. Another number that we don't want to see go up is this 89 cases now in McMinn County. 89 McMinn Countyans identified as COVID positive now today. 1,135 total tests. You're doing a great job, Athenians, making sure that you're able to get the test, confirming whether you are COVID-free or whether you have COVID. And we need to make sure that you're quarantined, isolated. We do have teams through the Tennessee Department of Health that will work with our positive cases, and they are doing contact tracing. They're deep diving into where you've been, who you've been in contact with, and they will be calling those people to let them know they need to get tested. They need to monitor their symptoms. They need to quarantine so that we can keep this virus from spreading further. It is upon all of us to take this seriously to be responsible. I don't want, and I know you don't want to be the cause of anyone else dying in our community because a vulnerable, you may have passed COVID-19 unknowingly to a vulnerable person. If you are in that category of vulnerable people, isolate yourself. Stay at home. Quarantine. Take all of those precautions. I know that you are doing that already. This is a reminder for those. Make sure that you are getting the test. Make sure that your needs are being looked after by family and friends. Call them, text them, keep a distance. Let them know if you need groceries, if they can help with medicine. With those essential needs, let somebody else make those runs for you. We're here to help our neighbors in need. I know there's been a lot of media attention on a particular long-term care facility here in Athens, and there are updated numbers that have been reported through the Daily Post-Athenian today that accounts for the 2 deaths here in McMinn County. There are also 58 residents now confirmed with COVID positive, and there are 12 staff members, 12 employees that have been tested positive for COVID. So that is a cluster. That is an area that is being concentrated on by the Tennessee Department of Health right now. They are working with the folks on the ground and the corporation to make sure that they're doing everything they can to protect the welfare of the folks that are in that facility, and also to keep that facility and any staff or residents from further spreading outside of that facility. And that is very important. We're doing everything we can to keep this pandemic from further harming any other souls. So I will have several further announcements after the interview, but I did let you know we have Dr. Melanie Miller joining us once again here at the Daily Update, and is going to talk to us about Athens City Schools. And there's a lot of questions right now that, if you'll come on in, there's a lot of questions about our students, our families. They've got a lot of questions about the end of the school year and things like that. So we'll kind of work through a lot of those frequently asked questions and make sure that you're aware of what's going on in our local school system. All right. Dr. Miller, thank you for being back on the Daily Update with us.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Always good to be with you. And I know you get a lot of questions, and I know you've published actually these frequently asked questions are already uploaded. They've been pushed out. I did get a notification on my text messages that here it is. So, but for extra benefit of folks that may not be able to get the push notifications and things of that nature, we did want to cover some of those questions. So we'll dive straight into that if that's okay. And we're looking forward to the new school year, 2021 school year. If I've got anybody looking to go to pre-kindergarten, or I've got any kindergartners that need to be registered, how is registration being handled right now?
Absolutely, Seth. So we are hopeful and looking forward to a reopening in the fall. So we encourage everyone, if you have pre-K students, you need to call a particular number. It's in the FAQ, and that is 745-1516. We take the information and we push that out to the principal or teachers, and they contact the parent and get all that paperwork provided. Kindergarten is just a little bit different. There is online registration open for kindergarten, and that opened up this week. It opened on April 27th. And so if they go to our website, they will be able to access that. We actually have had, I think as of now, 106 pre-K students registered.
Okay.
So we're excited that people are following our site and getting registered.
Very good. Now we have students that I think went on spring break and were never able to come back, and so there may be backpacks or some books or some favorite personal items that are left in lockers or in desks. If my child is one of those, what are we doing about getting those personal belongings back to the children?
And that is a concern, and many of our students are looking forward to retrieving their things. There have been some instances where parents have contacted teachers and principals, and some things have been retrieved since we let out. But if you remember, we walked away from schools on March 13th, hoping to return, and obviously we didn't. So we have students who actually have library books, textbooks, possibly band instruments or computers or things like that, calculators from the school, and then we have the students' things still in their desks. So what's going to happen next week, our teachers and principals and staff members will be in the buildings at different times, and we are practicing our social distancing and doing all the, following all the universal guidelines of being back in our buildings. But our teachers and principals are working on a process. They are gathering and collecting students' belongings and bagging and tagging, so to speak, in a variety from bags to totes. And that's their focus next week, collecting all of that. Beginning May 11th, so not next week, but the following week, the 11th through the 15th, we will have drive-through pickup arrangements made, and each school will be sending that information out to the parents. It may be by grade level, certain days, certain times, and it will be drive-through. We will keep families in their cars.
Good.
I do know that lots of families have contacted us, and they wanted so badly to bring the kids back to school at some point, to have closure, to say goodbye to their teachers, but we're wanting to honor just what you just covered, Seth. It is a very serious situation, and we want to do our part to keep people apart. We don't want to hurt a child if a child wanted to run and hug a teacher, or children when they see each other after not seeing each other for 40 plus days, running and hugging each other. So we don't want to add any more trauma to children or hurt them in any way. So we're going to ask that all parents, families stay in cars. We will have setups. We'll have maps we'll probably be sending out. We'll have containers where they can bring library books, textbooks. We will set up parking lots and they can put those items in, and then they will have a way to retrieve their children's items.
Okay.
So it's going to be quite a detailed plan, but that will be the week of May 11th through the 15th. That's what we will focus on.
Yes, I'm very happy to hear that you're utilizing all of those CDC guidelines for personal contact. Make sure to keep people in the cars, and that everybody stays safe during that process. Thank you. So likewise, if a child's got money, if they have money left on their any of their accounts at school, especially their meal plan and things of that nature, is there a way to return that money, or does it roll over? How does that work?
Yes to both.
Okay.
Parents have two options there. So if a child had money in their account, it will roll into the next school year. It stays in their account. When we return in the fall, that money is there and available in that child's name, even if they are changing schools. So even if they're going from City Park to West Side, that money rolls into that account. But if parents would prefer to have a refund, they need to call this number, 746-0540. And I know I give out a lot of numbers, so if they call the office or email the office, we will make sure we continue to push that information out. But they can request a direct refund, and our food service department will refund those dollars.
Okay, wonderful. And I know we've talked a lot in our previous conversations about feeding and how that has. I know it's been a while since we got a report, and the numbers just were staggering, last week. So tell us about how the feeding program is working, what's its current status, and looking into the future, what does it look like? Is there an end date? Does it go through summer?
Great questions. First, this is a great time to just compliment our food service supervisor, Ms. Angie Newman, and her whole team of food service staff members, and all of our teachers, instructional assistants, bus drivers, custodians, who have all worked in that program throughout all of this these few weeks we've been out. So the lunch and breakfast program has been operating. We had an update today. We have served almost 77,000 meals.
Wow.
So over 76,000 meals have been served, and we have been serving, our number this week is 1,250 children. And so there is a need, and we recognize that that need doesn't go away regardless of whether the school year officially ends or not. That need is there. And so Ms. Newman has worked very hard to make certain that we will continue. So what's going to happen, we've been at Ingleside and Westside, and that will remain just as it has been. Mondays and Thursdays from 11 to 1, breakfast and lunch will be picked up, and for 6 days during the week. That will continue. Nothing will change about that program. The additional sites that we set up and serve in, those will continue as well. But we also coordinate with the county and even with the Y on what happens in the summer. So for now, just know Westside and Ingleside, that will continue with the meals into the summer. It will continue and not change as long as the USDA considers this an emergency, and we're in that. If the emergency passes, as we hope soon it will, we still will offer summer feeding, but it might revert to looking like it has in the past. But for right now, nothing's changed. We know we're guaranteed that in through June, and if it changes to a different program, we will share that information out well in advance.
Very good. Thank you. I know a lot of folks, we like to celebrate. We like to celebrate good things, transitions from grade to grade sometimes. So what about graduations and ceremonies of that nature that are typical during this part of the year?
Probably the most heartbreaking part, because that is the part we look forward to, celebrating our students, celebrating their successes, transitioning. Even, when you think about it, we've always had a pre-K graduation. So all of those things, it is heartbreaking, and I understand our families miss that. So we are not having any type of end-of-year ceremonies, again, to protect all of our children and families and employees. But we are having our 8th grade. That has been a big question. We are going to have a virtual celebration. Mr. Simmons and the 8th grade team, they've been working on that, and they will be sending that out to 8th grade parents. So there will be a virtual celebration that will take place before the end of May.
Okay.
And then they're on the calendar for late summer, so late July, they're going to work toward having an 8th grade celebratory picnic, hopefully at Regional Park or maybe out on our grounds, if we're in a situation that we can resume those type of activities. So just know we've got both things planned, but definitely a virtual celebration will take place to individually recognize those 8th grade students.
Okay, wonderful. And we're having to do a lot virtually now. And I don't know that that's going to be changing much in the near future until we can really get something in place that either it's not spreading at the level that we're seeing, or there's vaccines so that we can protect those vulnerable populations. Back into the questions. We've been out however many days now. It's been a long time. What does the end of the school year look like?
It's like right now, next week, our teachers are, as I mentioned, very focused on end-of-year activities. So what's happening with instruction, we just talked about meals, so those are being provided. Our last learning packets will go out next week. So week May 4th through the 8th, next week, our last learning packets will go out. So just like we make copies and through those mealtime drive-throughs on Mondays and Thursdays, and then City Park from 4 to 6, everything that we've been doing, all those instructional packets will go out, and that will be the last bit of instructional packets that we will send out. Everything is still online. The PBS series will continue through the end of May, and that's on PBS, and it is online as well, and our website keeps everything up to date. So that will happen. Parents have been wanting to know, well, when does the school year really end then? So our last learning packet goes out. All the online opportunities are available through May 19th, but we're really considering May 15th as somewhat the last instructional time for students and parents, so that then they can officially know that they are well intended to move into the summer. But for right now, all instruction is still going on. Teachers are providing that. They're reaching out virtually to students, or by phone or email or online platforms that they had already had established, and trying to stay in communication, and that will also be how they will reach out and tell their students goodbye. So we will have the drive-through pickups to pick up things, but they will be also trying to provide closure for students during that time. And one of the last things that will go home when they pick things up are, summer suggestions for summer reading. We always, every year, we send home packets to provide suggestions of the upcoming curriculum and what's going to happen. So students will still receive that.
Good, wonderful. How will students be able to advance to the next grade since they've missed so many days? And what about grades and reporting?
All great questions. So, and so let's remember, we are all in this together, right? So there are no students who have been going to school and some who haven't. We've all been in this together. So a few things happen. If a child is going to be retained and not promoted onto the next grade, we have to have meetings in February by law and put plans in place, a promotion plan to do that. And so those conversations would have happened in February with parents. And so that is a point that has already, parents would know if they had had that meeting. So since March 13th, every student, if that meeting had not happened, every student will plan to promote onto the next year. And remember that all students, we know that we will be assessing as we start the year, where are our knowledge gaps now? And we'll do that with everyone. And so I don't feel like there are any students who are further behind than other students during this time. We're all in this together. We know we've had time away from school, but we're going to promote on to the next grade, and we're going to address those learning gaps in the fall. And you asked another question in that, Seth, in that
grades.
The grades on March 13th, whatever grade a student had on our last day of school, their grades cannot drop below that. Now that's a state board decision that was made April 9th. And what we've done in Athens is we have not collected grades because we've tried to limit interaction of things being turned back in, and teachers have tried to provide support, and we know that parents have tried to provide support and work from home and do a variety of things. So students' grades during this time, we've tried to offer every grade, every student a grade to average in of 100 for this time that they're out, just because we want to provide hope. And we want to encourage that people have tried, and parents have tried, and kids have tried, and people have tried to stay engaged. And so no student would suffer during this time, and if anything, their grade would come up during this time. And that's why we want to send them off, at least with hope, that we're all in this together. We've made the grades, we're moving forward, and we'll address our recovery time for every student when we return to school.
Wonderful. We have many of our parents are both parents, if it's a two-parent household, or single parents, and they're working, and they rely on Kids Connection. And so I know that's something that's provided even into the summer. And do you know the status yet of what Kids Connection is going to look like?
Yes, we do, and that is a tough one, because we know that parents depend on that in the summer. And Kids Connection will be going, just like they're doing now, it will be a remote virtual learning program. We will not bring kids into the building for a variety of reasons. If you can imagine, some of the things that our Department of Education is putting in place is, what should it look like when we do return children to the building? And right now, we can't meet the social distancing guidelines, even having masks and gloves and spread students out appropriately. But Ms. Dolly has great plans, and she's going to be sending those out to provide a lot of virtual activities. And as that evolves, and as you know, we're under Executive Order 30 till May 29th, but we know that throughout June things could happen. So Kids Connection could start out in one program and maybe evolve into ways to bring students in small groups or things, but we will have to wait and see how that goes. So the answer for right now is it will be a virtual, distant, remote learning opportunity, just like we're doing now.
Okay, thank you. How will students receive their final grades?
So for our pre-K2 world, those are hard copies that typically go out, parents sign and return. So those went home before spring break because that was the end of our third grading period. You may have received those.
I got 2 of them.
Yes, that's right. And so we didn't ask parents to send those back. Obviously, we've not been back, and we wouldn't. So parents will hang on to those as the memento, I guess you would say. And then in the very end, we'll have the final documents that would be sent for the final year. So parents will just hang on to those. For all other grades, during the week of the 11th through the 15th, where we just mentioned we're asking parents to come and retrieve items, we will have the final grade cards ready to go. And they will pick them up with those, along with if they've ordered yearbooks or anything that may have come in during this time. And then we also know that there may be yearbooks or items that have yet to arrive. And if they arrive later in the summer, we will take on the work to make sure we get those distributed to families.
Wonderful. The last day, we talk about Nourish One Child, helps send food home to children. We have a lot of wonderful volunteers, people that help with that program through Keith Church. Is there a last date for that? Is that winding down?
It is actually, and it winds down every year. That is not a program that's offered in the summer. So May 14th, during that week, May 14th will be the last time those parents will come by to pick up those packs.
Okay. Will students continue to be provided learning opportunities throughout the summer? I know the PBS is going to go through
The end of May.
End of May. What about June, July?
Yeah, Ready Rosie will be available. Now that is for our younger students. Pre-K, really pre-K through second grade would be appropriate. Ready Rosie will be available. We're working with the Department of Education. We've suggested, and we're waiting to hear from them. We hope that they will provide PBS opportunities throughout the summer. And then all of the things that we have on our website, all of the materials and opportunities under the resource page, we will leave those up throughout the summer for students and parents to access when they would, if they choose to. And then we will send home the curriculum guides and suggested reading for the summer. And another thing that we've been giving out, we've given away over 3,000 books so far, free books. And so hopefully parents will take advantage of that. One of the greatest things we can do for children to help in the summer is to spend 20 minutes a day reading with our children, letting our children read aloud to us, read with them. That in itself is an amazing what it will do for children.
We can't get our children in bed without, that daily, every day.
Good to hear.
We gotta read.
Absolutely.
And now we've been able to transition that. Why don't you read to me?
Yes.
We're in that phase, which is good.
Yes, great.
So that's been good in my household. Probably my last question for you. But I know that our current school buildings were historically built as neighborhood schools, and so they're a center for specific neighborhoods, and they've got playgrounds that kids use. And what's the status of our playgrounds?
Well, as of now, all of our playgrounds are still closed, and we've been following, just like everyone else, we try to pay close attention to the guidelines presented by our governor. And we want to keep our children safe, so the last thing we want to do is provide temptations for families or children to spread COVID. So they are all still closed, and they will remain closed. We ask everyone to please not jump the fences or break the locks, or let's leave them closed to keep everyone safe. And we will reopen those in coordination with the city as Parks and Recreation. When we determine it is safe to reopen, then we would like to open our playgrounds at the same time the city opens up all of its opportunities for students like that.
Wonderful. I'd be happy to coordinate that with you, and we'll be in contact as that occurs. We have mentioned Executive Order 30, which still limits or prohibits, actually, a gathering of 10 or more people. And you think of if a child has COVID-19 and may even be asymptomatic, they go down a slide. You know, you can't just chase down every slide and sanitize that. And so it's unfortunately the safest thing to do is to not offer that temptation. So we will be watching weekly and daily as new executive orders continue to go out, and if we get to a safe place, we'll be happy to reopen those playgrounds, and we'll be in contact with you.
Great.
Thank you. That was all the questions that I had for you. Are there any other informational items you think is important, or do you have a message that you would like to share?
Said my message for our students and family in this community is, again, and I think I've said it, this is my third time on here, we miss our students. Schools are not schools without students. And we understand the loss that students have felt and families during this time. We are very saddened that we're not going to have a type of closure that we would all like to have. The one thing we want to do is hug, high five, shake hands with our kids. We love them, and our teachers are heartbroken. And so I think if we all just remember that we don't have to have that physical connection to be connected at heart. And we are connected at our hearts with our students, and we just want them to know that. We love them, we love our families, and no matter if we can't touch each other or can't interact, we are still connected in our souls through our hearts, and that will never change. And we will just look forward to the day when we all can return, and we are really focused now on doing everything we can to have a great reopening, an exciting reopening in the fall.
Wonderful. Thank you for that message. And thank you for joining us again today, Dr. Miller.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. I do have a few other announcements. We have mentioned a few occasions today. Executive Order 30 from Governor Bill Lee was published yesterday afternoon after we went off the live video with you yesterday. And so I did want to update you on what it entails and just hit the highlights for you. This executive order does extend the prohibition of groups of 10 or more people in any place. It supersedes Executive Orders 17, 21, 22, 23, 27, and 29. It also supersedes any local action in those 89 counties, McMinn County, the city of Athens, and all the cities located within those 89 counties, including here locally. Anything that we do or have is superseded by this executive order and the governor's authority under emergency powers. The Executive Order 30 continues with limiting activity and requesting that people continue to stay at home. It prohibits festivals, sporting events, parades, and the like. It does not prohibit weddings and funerals, but offers guidance on making sure that you still do adhere to the group number. It closes and keeps, it doesn't close, it keeps art centers, theaters, bowling alleys, senior centers, places of that nature closed through May 29th. And this order does extend all the way until May 29th. We also got news yesterday that the governor has issued guidance, and it is available on tn.gov under the tabs where you're looking at COVID-19 updates. You can see that gyms are going to be able to reopen Friday under specific guidance. The guidance exists for the owners and for people who are using those facilities. And so please pay attention to that if that affects you. We got news today. We did receive this earlier, and so the governor is stated to make an announcement tomorrow on the reopening of salons, barbershops, tattoo parlors, in a phased, slow way, but it appears that that maybe those places are able to open as soon as May 6th. So maybe even as soon as next week we could see a return to getting those shaggy hairstyles like mine. My wife made a comment. She has not seen my hair like this since college days, and I don't think it has been this long since then. But I know we're looking forward to that. We've got a lot of small local businesses that's their livelihood, and we've been paying very close attention. We've been communicating with other offices across the state, making sure that those business owners are being heard. Give us some guidelines, let us go back to work. We're trying to provide for our families. And so that is slated, an announcement tomorrow by the governor. We don't have that detailed information yet, but it is looking like maybe even as soon as May 6th that those businesses can begin reopening. So I know a lot of folks are looking forward to that and happy to hear that. The order continues to talk about wearing face masks. You do need to protect your eyes if you're going out. Any way that droplets can either leave your body or enter your body, you need to try to protect if you're going into public. There are some high-traffic, essential businesses that are open, grocery stores, general merchandise stores, home improvement stores. We're aware they're taking precautions to sanitize, and they're trying to limit routes within the stores, doing a lot to protect your health. And at the end of the day, we do have to admit there's only so much we can do to protect our health and still be open. That's why the governor saw fit that certain businesses needed to be closed. We're happy to see those businesses now going to be reopened. But in those high traffic areas, make sure you are covering yourself and that you are protecting your health if you have to go there. But please limit those trips. Keep using drive-thrus, keep using delivery, keep doing those things on into the future to help protect your health and the health of others. We learned yesterday also that medical and healthcare facilities and certain types of your regular health checks, you can start doing those again starting this Friday. I've talked to dentist. Actually, just last night I talked to a local dentist, and he's looking to reopen after the weekend, actually on Monday instead of this Friday, just to kind of get through that curve and have a planned, phased approach. So we appreciate that, everybody being super responsible out there. And that's that, along with just reminding you to go get tested Monday through Friday here in McMinn County. This Saturday, 9 a.m. to noon at Bradley in Bradley County at Cleveland Middle School, and that address is 3635 Georgetown Road Northwest in Cleveland. Please go get tested so we can make sure that our data is showing good numbers, negative numbers, or in the worst case scenarios that you are positive and maybe asymptomatic and you can get quarantined. And then that team from the health department is going to do some contact tracing, follow your steps and your contacts and call those people and make sure they get tested so we can try to really put a lid on this pandemic, get past this. We understand it's troubling. It may be somewhat confusing for a lot of folks that we're seeing our governor trying to get folks back to work, reopening businesses as our numbers are continuing to increase right now. Those are the orders that we're all under here in McMinn County and 89 counties across the state of Tennessee. And so we are going to do our best because, as you said, we are in this together. Even though we have to be apart, we are in this together, and I'm going to do everything I can to protect your health. And I know you're going to do that to protect the health of your loved ones, your friends, your neighbors. And we're going to help the people in need. We're going to do what Athenians do in times of crisis. and help each other out. I'm so grateful for everyone that's listening and sharing the good message, sharing the good news, and also for the prayers that are being lifted up for the folks that have been adversely affected during this pandemic, through illness and unfortunately through death. It hurts my heart to be able to sit here and tell you today that we have lost the lives of 2 McMinn Countyans due to COVID-19. And we have to do everything in our power to prevent that from happening on down the road. We're with you, even though we're apart, we are together. And we're going to see through to the other side. There's going to be beautiful weather this summer. We're going to be through this pandemic. We're going to get a vaccine. And we're going to be able to come together and share those hugs, let our kids go back to school in the fall. And those are our prayers.
Absolutely.
May God bless you. May God bless Athens.